Okay, Browns fans, this is the time of the year where you pick your jerseys out. Which one of the jerseys are you getting ready for the football season 2022? And I got something for you. We're going to tell you why you don't have to worry about picking up another JOK jersey. We'll explain that coming up next on the Locked On Browns podcast.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound, LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you at a Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen day in, day out. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd, your host from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Weekdays, 11 to 1 on YouTube. Make sure you're checking that out. By the time this gets out, it will have already gone off, but make sure you check. It's rare to get appearance from Archie Griffin, but he's going to stop in and pull in with the boys today on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. So make sure you, if you get a chance, go back, archive that, find that. Should be a great thing. Of course, Saturday mornings on the Fan, the barbershop, Garrett Bush, 9 to 12. Make that part of your weekend rotation as you run around doing errands, taking kisses, sports, whatever that may be. Today's episode of Locked On Browns is brought to you by Blue Nile. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Browns listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement, and use the promo code LOCKEDON, all caps, no space, at checkout. We're going to get to some things here today. The first one here we'll get to, obviously, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah went kind of, well, I guess by saying he took to Instagram, I guess that's saying making it public. We're going to get to JOK, Greg Newsome, Grant Delpit. These are three key players. If they continue on the path that they did last year, are going to be some of the big reasons this Cleveland Browns defense could be elite in 2022. We're going to give you three players on the offensive side of the ball here that we think really, if they step up, will be integral into what will be the 2022 Cleveland Browns offense. As Garrett had alluded to, and there much anticipated. This had started as soon as the Deshaun Watson trade went down. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah wore jersey number 6 in his time at Notre Dame. When he got here to the Browns, obviously 6 was not available. It's also a little different with the Browns. This is one team that really hasn't dabbled much in the ability to wear the single digits. I know if you watch the Dallas Cowboys, it just makes your head spin because, there's players all over the place, wearing jersey numbers that, now are okay, but for years were considered, not traditional. But for JOK, the number 28, which is a little different, honestly, for where essentially if he's listed at linebacker and wears jersey number 28, that is a tad bit different. But not many single digits have been rocked by Browns players other than the quarterbacks and the people who are allowed to wear said numbers. So I believe everybody just kind of felt JOK would make this switch to jersey number 6. Anthony Walker wears 5. For him, 4 was the big jersey. He wore it last year. Obviously, Deshaun Watson talked him out of that. So Anthony Walker goes to 5 and gets a lucrative bag to help Anthony do all he does in his community down in Florida. For Garrett, look, this would have opened another can of worms. If JOK had taken jersey number 6. There's so much Baker Mayfield talk now already. I can only imagine what the media speculation would have been as we went down this path. So, whether and what exactly the reasoning was for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah to stick with jersey number 28, him not choosing 6 probably saves us another 3 to 4 segments on Locked On Browns of Baker Mayfield wars, Baker Mayfield debates. But for anybody who owns the JOK jersey, you're safe for 2022 as Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah will stick with number 28.
Well, for me, I look at it like this, man. First of all, I'm a big guy who's into jerseys in terms of wearing cool numbers. Like, when I first got in high school, I was like, yo, I want a single digit number. Obviously in high school, that's not a thing because, well, in high school, they usually order the jersey sizes, depending on what size or the number that people usually wear them. So, for instance, receivers, quarterbacks, maybe even running backs usually wear single digits, right? So they're not going to buy a 10x jersey in number one. They have to get and have to recycle the number one every single year in different sizes. So they're like, no. And then plus, I played tight end for 1 year. But by the time I got to really consistently playing, I had ate myself out of that tight end position. So I was a guard in high school. So I had to, I wanted number 7. It was cool as a number 7 defensive end, but they're like, you play guard, so you're going to have 71. So it kind of stuck. But I think it's kind of cool what the NFL has done with that, allowing people to have single digits. I'm a really big fan of it. To me, it just looks cool. I've always been a dude on Madden that's always putting visors and shields and wristbands and tape all over my characters. I come out there looking like a Dick's Sporting Good commercial. And everything everywhere, the gloves and stuff. So for me, I wouldn't have had no problem if JOK when it got 6. He obviously wore 6 in college. I think the single digit looks cool, but I also think number 28 looks cool because it's odd for a linebacker to have that number as well. So he already had kind of a cool number that he was already rocking, so I could understand. Like he wanted to just GM. Nah, I'm cool. I'm gonna just go ahead and get this one. And for anybody else that has gone out and got those authentic JOK jerseys, I think one of the things that one of his agent probably grabbed him on the shoulder and said, "Hey, look, man, if you change your jersey, all those people that kind of bought your jersey last year as a rookie, they're gonna be a little peeved off at you, bro. You gonna switch it up. Them jerseys like $200. Now they gotta go to 6. Just stick with the 28. Your people love you for it. So I think it was a couple things that went into it. I wouldn't. And as far as Baker is concerned, I think, and I'm going to lead the charge. I'm trying to lead the charge on this. Even on my radio show, Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and on this podcast, we talk a lot of Browns. We talk a lot of stuff. But, our local media is going to have to figure out some other stories to talk about. Like, at this point, we've gotten this press guide conversations. We've done blogs on here about, what is it, what kind of went wrong and some of the things behind the scenes. But he's no longer on the team, man. As the season will come into fruition, as we get closer to the Panthers game, obviously, because we talk about the games and what's happening on the field, we'll drill down on it more, but it'll be in terms of what Baker's good at on the field and what he's not good at on the field. And the game plan is how to attack Baker and for the Browns to come out with a win week 1. But he has to be Sam Darnold out. He gotta do what he need to do to even get in that position. So for me, maybe we can stop the Baker stories. I can understand if we still got to talk about Deshaun Watson because it is what it is. But the Baker stuff, I'm not going to be running around here following Baker as his trails and trials in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm off that, bro. Like, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it pushing. And his jersey is not off limits. The number 6 will not be retired. So somebody else get to number 6 and make your legacy with it.
Yes, 6 will be available, sometime soon, for nobody to wear it in 2022. Number 1, I think it's just, if everybody within that locker room wants to see local media, fans, all of that, stop talking about Baker Mayfield, one of the smartest things to do is to basically take the number 6 jerseys, put them away in a closet. We can talk about it again in 2023. But for the time being, because it'll be the stories, see, nobody cared about him. Look, they gobbled up some of the opportunity to take his jersey number, da. Just more rhetoric that by, any means whatsoever is certainly not needed. The other thing, and this is just one thing as a league on a whole, and this is where the league was dumb in all these years for making the move to allow players to wear these single digit jerseys. They sell more. People will buy the jersey number 1, or if it's 2 or 4, they'll buy it just because it's different. It's cool. It'll sell better. Your favorite player wears number 33. That's great. And, some people will buy it just for that fact, but there are a large amount of people who will just buy the team jersey they love because of the single digit. It's a different look. And for me, I do like the fact that the Browns done this. I like the fact that, hey, you ain't worthy. I don't need some 6th-round pick coming into a locker room and saying, yeah, I'll take jersey number 1. Son, man, we didn't even put your locker in with screws. We just put together some milk cartons. We're not even sure if you're going to be around long enough. I think it should be something, that should be kind of earned. Not everybody should just be able to go up and say, oh, well, I'll take 4. Nah, I mean, you better be a baller if you're going to rock a single digit in the NFL.
You got to be nice. At least, look, this is what we know. Even in college back when you was playing, if you was trying to get that, you either better be the number 1 recruit. You might want to have 1,000 yards or how many sacks you got, son? You got about 15 sacks. We let you get that off. But you ain't gonna be around here using all the good numbers. Those are prime time premium joints, man.
Yeah, the 3rd string wide receiver 6 does not get to pick jersey number 1 or number 2. And I do love the fact that with some colleges there is a jersey that is coveted, and you earn your opportunity to maybe wear it for 1 season. Obviously, number 7 down at LSU, huge big number. Started with Tyrann Mathieu. It led to, of course, Grant Delpit wore it this past season for LSU. Derek Stingley wore it. I think that's cool. Like, you should earn your way into wearing said single digit. Why on the topic here of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, we're going to get to a little talk here about JOK, about Greg Newsome, about Grant Delpit. And, yes, Grant technically year 3, but technically year 2 on the field for Grant Delpit. We're going to get to these 3 individuals, why they are going to be huge part as to why this Browns defense should take yet another step up here in the hierarchy in the 2022 season. Jeff Lloyd, Garrett Bush, your latest Locked On Browns. This episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the car parts that you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questions? Is your vehicle an EX? Is it an LX? Is it a V6? Is it a V6 turbo? And wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing the only manufacturer their warehouse happens to carry. You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. It's a family-owned business. It's been serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Their prices are reliably low, and for every customer, go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution to your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now. See all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box, so they know Garrett and I sent you their way. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com.
Welcome back to the Locked On Brown podcast. I want to clap it up for you guys out there. Clap it up, slow clap. You guys is getting this here. I haven't checked really as of late, but I think we're a couple away from 2,000. I don't know what the actual number is, but last time I checked, I saw a 1 and a 9, and we was close as heck. So we want to thank y'all. We put out something and said, listen, be time, but
we have to be within 10. We have to be at least within 10. Within 10, Mr. Bush, yes.
So right now it's 7/13/22 timestamp, and guess what? We've already almost close to that 2,000. So what we're going to do is we're just going to keep pushing, man. If cats want to keep going ahead and making Locked On Browns the best Locked On podcast in the game out of all the other teams, continue to support. Let's get that goal to 2,500 then. I could get to 2,500. Let's go ahead and push that. Continue to subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Make sure you like the video so this can be pushed out to all other Browns fans and make Locked On Browns the best podcast in the game. Jeff, we've talked about these 3 individuals coming up here, and I think we talked about JOK, and it's not just about his jersey number. It's also about what the man ultimately does on the field and the skill set that he brings. I'm starting to really look at these 3 individuals that we're going to speak on now as what we call super sophomores, right? The sophomores in the game. You got JOK, right? Brilliant first year. I thought he did well. He was a little dinged up. But you see his skill set and what he's all about. You know what kind of game that he's able to bring to the table as far as being a guy that can get, vertical quickly, explosive athlete, a guy that can chase down plays from the back, a guy that can do a lot of different things. We saw those glimpses in the first year. And then you got Greg Newsome as a guy who I always say, look, he's always in phase. He's always a guy, even if someone catches a football Go back and watch the Cincinnati Bengals game where he held his own on some plays against Jamar Chase, who was the best receiver in the league, in my opinion, last year. Maybe Cooper Kupp is a little better, but he's right there. When you look at Newsome, he's always in a play. He's always moving around, and he's always looking to dislodge the ball and playing the football. So I love what that first round pick out of Northwestern showed me last year. And I think he's going to move inside a little bit, do a lot of different things. I think it's going to be a really cool situation. And then finally, he's not really a sophomore. He would probably be a junior, but he missed a year. That's Grant Delpit. And we've done some, blogs on him before. We've done blogs on Newsome as well as JOK in the linebacker room. But we want to reiterate that I feel like that Grant Delpit is a guy that is going to make huge waves for this team. A guy that looks like he's going to be more explosive this year after coming off the Achilles heel injury. A guy that I saw glimpses of that was a dynamic rusher, and bringing him off the corner, off the edge, and blitzes and coming up and run support. And also, I like his ball skills. Had an opportunity to get around the football last year and some pass defenses and stuff like that. So for me, I look at those three super sophomores as going to be the key to the Browns defense. We know what Anthony Walker is going to bring as far as his intangibles, as far as him tackling the football and getting guys lined up and just being the leader of the defense. We already know what Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett can do from a position of rushing the passer, especially when you're moving them around a lot. Just go back and watch that Chicago Bears film and how they did Justin Fields last year. It was real nasty. It was real nasty for him, man. So I tell you what, man, I look forward to those situations, and I think those three are going to be the key to getting off the field early, and they're going to be the key when Jacoby Brissett you're going to be leaning on him. You're going to be looking to run the football, and you're going to need turnovers. You're going to need short tackling, and you're going to need great the ability to get guys off the field on third down. Your thoughts on these three guys, Jeff?
Well, there's a couple avenues here, that I want to discuss with these three. First, I'll talk about the talents and the accomplishments last year. Each one tasted success in their first year on the field, for the Browns in Joe Woods' defense. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, I think we saw a guy who ran around 100 million miles an hour through effort, toughness, all of these things, succeeded very, a lot of success, high, the expectations become higher now, though. The game should start to slow down a little bit for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. So where it's not just going to be athleticism that is going to be his calling card at the position. It's going to be knowledge. It's going to be seeing things before they happen, seeing things as they develop. And with Greg Newsome, it's going to be the same thing now. You saw some of his best football against the Bengals, which for now is going to be the measuring stick for, Browns secondary play. No question about it. That team you're looking forward to week out. When you play them, if you can play well against them, you pretty much should be able to play well against any passing attack you see. Grant Delpit, it's the number one, getting over the injury, and it's always a mind thing. It's a mind thing that, oh my God, here I go. If I take this step, if I do this drill, it's exactly how I got hurt. It's getting that out of, erased from your mind that it happened. What we saw with Grant Delpit before he got injured in 2020 as a rookie was Joe Woods was putting him everywhere. I mean, everybody wants to talk about how bad the safety play was in 2020, and nobody's lying. The defense was bad in 2020. We know that. But a huge part of that is they had a lot planned for Grant Delpit. They didn't view him as a second round pick. They certainly viewed him as a first round pick. So losing him as early as they was crucial because they had him lined up everywhere in training camp before the injury, and that became a massive blow. I think we're going to start to see that versatility even more with Grant Delpit here in year two. We know Joe Woods loves to play, three safeties, if not more, at any given time. But what I love structurally within the team, within the roster, in each positional room, Garrett, that they've done for each of these players is when Anthony Walker got here, we saw Darius Leonard take to social media and talk about his dedication as a player, his intelligence as a player, his work ethic, and how much Anthony Walker made Darius Leonard a better player. JOK is getting to absorb this same type of tutoring right now, sitting next to a pro's pro. And yes, we all know Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah may have a lot more God-given ability. But when you can match that with intelligence, with, just understanding and being able to deduce things before they happen, that's where you get an all-around superb player. Greg Newsome, same thing, gets to sit down in every meeting with a player like Denzel Ward, pick his brain. And for Grant Delpit, you're sitting next to John Johnson in every meeting. So you're getting all this wealth of knowledge, all this wealth of experience. So for players who have this work ethic, have this ability, now being able to have somebody who they probably consider maybe a little bit better than them at the position and wanting to achieve what they have achieved in this league is a really, really nice setup for these three players who all should be high confidence level players now with the success they had in 2021, but also understanding the fact that maybe they don't know yet what they know, and they have vets that they can lead on to basically get them there.
Yeah, I think it's a healthy mix. It's a healthy mix of the young guys with the veterans. Early in the season, the Browns defense will have to be the focal part of this defense, or excuse me, the team in general. They're going to have to be the team or the group, the unit that gets those guys in positions and keeps the offense, chilling out. Make sure you keep the offense off the field, and then you can keep giving the ball back to our offense, and so that we can put some distance in between these teams. I think if you look at it from a standpoint of, hey, if you want to run the ball and you want to play action game, the one thing that you need is solid special teams, and you need to have the ability to have your defense get off the field on third downs. And turnovers are hard to project, but getting turnovers whenever you can, that's what will help the Browns while Deshaun Watson presumably may be out due to suspension.
And no question. And so for these three players, if their game's up, like the Browns expect, I mean, you're talking about the potential for a truly, truly special defensive unit for defense coordinator Joe Woods. We're going to flip it up here. We're going to go to the offensive side of the ball here. Highlight a couple names there that are going to be integral, as it is now Wednesday, literally 2 weeks away from Browns opening training camp in Berea. From the people who invented Healthy and Tasty comes the latest gift to your taste buds. You've probably tried the amazing Coconut Brownie Chunk Built Bar, but guess what? Your friends at Built have given Coconut Brownie Chunk the Puffs treatment. That's right, the Coconut Brownie Chunk Built Bar flavor you love in a delicious chewy marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. It's like a fluffy cloud of coconut brownie goodness. But stop drooling and listen. They are good for you. They're low in calorie, low sugar, high in protein, and they're all delicious. Coconut Brownie Chunk Puffs are only here for a limited time. Go to Built.com now to make sure you don't miss out. They are going fast because they taste amazing. All Built bars are made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits. But it's something that tastes good and is good for you. Best part about Built Puffs is, of course, they taste amazing. But you can enjoy them guilt-free because they are actually good for you. They are the perfect treat. Perfect when you've got a craving, you need to satisfy your sweet tooth, or if you need a quick snack, they are an excellent source of protein. Delicious coconut, rich, sweet brownie, creamy marshmallow. Stop fantasizing. Get to Built.com to order your box of Coconut Brownie Chunk Built Puffs right now. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Again, promo code LOCKED15.
Welcome back to the Locked On Browns podcast.
That is a tongue twister.
Hey, that's why I leave all the reads to you. That's why you got the reads, right? G Bush, man. Jeff Lloyd. Make sure you follow us at GBush91, at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd. Make sure you continue to follow Locked On Browns podcast on Twitter. And as always, we need all of y'all to continue to keep driving up the numbers. I want to announce something. This is crazy. Didn't even notice. Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is now the #1 show on Tegna right now, right? We have the most views and downloads and all that goes cool things and subscribers. So right now, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is really balling. But this is the Locked On Browns podcast. It's not all about the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Let's talk about why your podcast, your team every day, the Locked On Browns podcast, is #7 in the Locked On world right now in terms of growth, in terms of subscribers, in terms of new views, new subscribers, and overall, like the Locked On Browns podcast is growing tremendously. When Mikey McNuggets told me that, I said, man, that's crazy. Me and Jeff, I couldn't imagine that we would be 7 already. and we just started a little over almost now 2 months ago now. So shout out, and that's because of you guys. You guys are the ones that are making that happen, and you guys are the ones that continue to support us. And it's not even football season, so I want to salute you guys for helping us grow.
We
as
barely
fast.
cut our teeth yet.
We ain't even doing nothing yet, man. So keep on doing that. Keep on doing that. We're going to keep on doing our thing. We talked a little bit about the defenses, the super sophomores, the JOKs, the Greg Newsome, and we talked about Grant Delpit, the super sophomores. Let's go over to the offensive side, Jeff. Who are you looking at on the offensive side that is a big piece and part to what the Browns want to do offensively to play complementary football with a stingy defense and a defense that makes guys turn the ball over?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest players on the offensive side of the ball here, and there's obviously been a tremendous amount of talk about David Njoku and the Browns essentially giving him the contract they did, where there's no production meter that maybe warrants the money that he's given. I know not a lot of people, care about blocking or look at blocking, but that is a huge, huge thing with David Njoku. His efforts there, his improvements there to become a complete tight end, not just this athletic freak. That if you get the ball to him in space, can do some special things for a tight end. But the production is going to have to go up for David Njoku. There's no way around it. Those numbers need to climb. With subtracted from the passing game this season by the Browns, and designating David Njoku with the amount of money they did, and I'm more than okay with it. But I do understand that there are people who say you're paying him for production that he has never shown. Certainly a valid point. Jedrick Wills needs health. That's what Jedrick Wills needs. He played well last year, certainly limited on a damaged ankle, suffered week 1. With him, I think people haven't seen the talent growth, and I think a lot of it was because he was injured last year, and he was just basically functioning. Wasn't essentially out there doing all he could do. He was playing smart. He was playing within himself, understanding that he was on a hobbled ankle. I think Jedrick Wills is going to be essential this year, and I think a lot of people are going to see the development that 71 has made to this point. And with the wide receivers, it's certainly all of them outside of Amari Cooper are going to have a little bit more. No question about that. And the thought process is who essentially would be, with what we think their roles will be, more important than any other. I think it has to be Donovan Peoples-Jones and his ability vertically. And one thing we've seen with Donovan to his time here with the Browns is the shorter intermediate stuff. That's not truly the best phase of what Donovan Peoples-Jones is. It's the bigger, deeper, longer routes where Donovan Peoples-Jones excels. And that'll be integral because, Amari Cooper is a guy who's capable of doing everything. You're hoping to see this production grow from David Njoku. Of course, they love to have their running backs involved. So if you're not being able to challenge defenses with the vertical passing game, it's going to end up to where we were in 2020. And we had talked about this a bunch, where the Browns passing game was essentially arena league style because they couldn't challenge vertically enough for anybody to respect it. Donovan Peoples-Jones needs to continue, being a factor in that. Hopefully, Anthony Schwartz, there's huge rebound from year 1 to year 2, can do that as well. And for Jacoby Brissett, or even when it is Deshaun Watson, just makes these throws, makes these passing windows bigger, wider, just a lot easier to pick off yards against your opponent, Garrett.
Yeah, I totally agree with those things. We talked about Jedrick Wills a lot in the offseason. You could throw Nick Harris in there a little bit as well, unproven a little bit at the center position that hasn't shown much, hasn't had the opportunity because you have a guy like J.C. Tretter, who was obviously, by and large gap, your starting center, a good football player, smart football player. And Wills had the injury last year, so we've seen some stuff from him, and we've seen glimpses that we know he can play a little bit. David Njoku definitely has to step it up a little bit. He got the big contract. I think we are waiting for him to see that top 5 tight end production. He has all the talent in the world in terms of his size, able to jump, high point to football, vertical threat. He's worked on his ham some. Still too many drop balls for me. Has to improve on that, and he's a much improved blocker or run blocker. I think he needs to continue to work on that as well. But you don't pay David Njoku all that money to go be a glorified fullback and block people. You pay him to catch touchdowns in the red zone and to be a mismatch for safeties and linebackers. But I go to exactly where you said. I'm gonna just stay all the way in. I'm gonna stay all the way into wide receiver room. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a guy who has to step up and solidify. We know that he came out of high school as the #1 rated receiver. Michigan, he was very highly touted. He has the skill set as well. Need to see him run better routes. Need to see him be more intricate. Never had a problem with his hands, but I want to see him make more plays. And then Anthony Schwartz as well. Anthony Schwartz and David Bell are going to tell you what this team is going to be able to do offensively as far as speed, and David Bell being able to work it and move the chains like Jarvis Landry was working in the slot. I look at the wide receiver room as a place that is going to make or break the Browns. If they play okay, the Browns' ceiling is what? Browns' ceiling could be, hey, they can get to the AFC Championship, right? If they don't play well, they could not make the playoffs or get booted out in the first round. But if they step up, show what they can do, I think the Browns are a legitimate Super Bowl contender. But it counts on those three guys and their progression over the offseason. Anxious to see what they do when training camp starts.
You have factors here with several of these players. And you need, regardless of who the quarterback is, and of course our expectations for Jacoby Brissett certainly aren't as high as our expectations would be for Deshaun Watson. But I also like the fact that you know it's Amari Cooper, but then essentially I'm not saying it's like no names or whatever. You don't necessarily know where it's coming from after that. Are you focused on Donovan Peoples-Jones while shading coverage to Amari Cooper? And here comes the jet sweep to Anthony Schwartz. And I don't know if you got anybody on your defense who can run in the 4-2s to try and catch Anthony Schwartz. There's going to be the critical 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 5s. I think we all agree David Bell is going to be a huge factor in those types of situations. You think coverage in those situations is going to be dictated to Amari Cooper. It's going to be dictated to David Njoku, maybe even to a Kareem Hunt. So guess what? You're going to have the rookie saying, no problem. I'll take my 4 steps. I'll jam in. I'll jam out. I'll get open. And as far as we know, David Bell has been catching everything thrown his way. Boom. Next thing you know, you're moving the chains, starting all over again, 1st and 10. So obviously very, very big with wide receivers 2, 3, and 4. And as Garrett and I have talked about before, there is no wide receiver 2. There is no wide receiver 3. There's no wide receiver 4. There's Amari Cooper's #1. And then there's the rest of the guys. They're all going to get opportunities, and they all need to do, at least, hopefully schemed into doing what the best of their abilities are. We know David Bell is a great route runner, catches everything thrown to him. We've seen Donovan succeed on the vertical game, and making sure we can find a better way this season to use the elite speed that Anthony Schwartz possesses. So we got to JOK, 28. It's safe, folks. No shopping for a new JOK jersey for the 2022 season. So maybe drop those shekels on somebody else who came to town. What's going to be the 3 super sophomores, a little asterisk next to one of them, as far as, the growth of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Greg Newsome, and Grant Delpit. And then, of course, 3 players here on offense who the Browns are going to need to, basically take it to another level for this team. Mr. Garrett Bush at GBush91. Myself, Jeff Lloyd at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd. Show itself at Locked On Browns. Follow back the account. DMs are open. As always, thank everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen day in, day out. Whether it's your favorite podcast platform, make sure you're following, subscribe to the show. Subscribe now on YouTube to Locked On Browns. 2 shows back to back. Over 30,000 views from all of you guys. I mean, the success over there is going incredible. But it's always a blast here. And like we talked about, look, we haven't even gotten to talk about a down of football yet. Haven't even gotten to talk about a down, a handoff, a field goal, an extra point. Nothing.
Facts.
Just straight cutting. We haven't even begun to cut the surface here, so to speak. Appreciate you all. So everybody have a great day. Continue with a great week here. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB. Let's go Browns.